First contact and hidden strength. The Centauri Dominion's flagship materialized at the edge of Sol's heliopause, its crystalline hull refracting starlight in ways that would have seemed magical to human eyes just a century ago. Supreme Commander Valeric stood on her command deck, mandibles clicking in barely contained disdain as she studied the holographic representation of Earth's solar system. Primitive defenses, as expected, she announced to her bridge crew. A handful of orbital platforms around their homeworld, a few scattered outposts on their moon and Mars, exactly what our deep space scans indicated. She gestured at the tactical display with one of her secondary arms. Prepare the diplomatic protocols. Let's get this over with. But deep within Cheyenne Mountain, General Sarah Chen watched the alien vessel's arrival with a practiced calm that would have surprised the Centauri commander. Hundreds of meters underground, in a chamber that officially didn't exist, she stood surrounded by holographic displays, showing real-time data from sensors that the Dominion's scans hadn't detected. They took the bait, she murmured, more to herself than to her staff. Status of the Phantom Grid. Colonel Marcus Rodriguez, her head of electronic warfare, checked his neural interface. Ghost sites are running perfectly, ma'am. They're seeing exactly what we want them to see. The surface installations are transmitting on expected frequencies, matching typical development patterns for our supposed technological level. Chen allowed herself a small smile. Humanity had detected the Dominion's long-range survey vessels decades ago, well before they thought they'd found Earth. Those first hints of alien observation had kicked humanity's preparations into high gear, but not in ways any outside observer would expect. The Centauri diplomatic transmission arrived right on schedule. People of Earth, the message began, broadcasting in all major human languages. We are representatives of the Centauri Dominion, a unified alliance of spacefaring civilizations. We come to offer you membership in our grand coalition. President Amara Okafor sat in the Oval Office, watching the transmission with her Security Council. The alien speaker, a tall insectoid being with iridescent kitten, continued its carefully worded speech about cultural exchange and technological advancement. Every word had been crafted to sound benevolent while establishing the Dominion's superiority. Send the prepared response, Okafor ordered. Let's play this exactly as we've rehearsed. Across Earth, humans went about their daily lives, many watching the historical first contact with a mixture of excitement and anxiety. But beneath the surface, literally and figuratively, humanity's true face remained hidden. In underwater bases, orbital stations disguised as debris, and deep underground facilities, the real work continued. Dr. Yuki Tanaka monitored the quantum entanglement readings from her lab in the Fukushima Deep Science Center. The Dominion's ships used a form of faster-than-light travel that left distinctive ripples in space-time. Ripples that humanity had learned to detect and, more importantly, understand. Their drive technology matches our projections, she reported through the secure quantum network. The countermeasures will work. The Dominion's diplomatic vessel descended into low Earth orbit, escorted by what appeared to be Earth's modest space defense force. Commander Valeric watched the primitive human ships with something approaching pity. Their nuclear thermal propulsion systems seemed painfully obsolete compared to the Dominion's gravity drives. What she couldn't see were the microscopic swarms of quantum-linked nanotech sensors coating her ship's hull, gathering data on every aspect of Dominion technology. Every moment the alien vessels spent in Earth orbit provided humanity with more information about their supposed benefactors. The first face-to-face meeting was scheduled for the United Nations headquarters in New York. As the Dominion delegation prepared to descend in their shuttle, General Chen received another update from the quantum network. Hull composition analyzed, shield frequencies mapped, drive signatures recorded. She nodded to her staff. Transmit the data to all Sentinel sites. Update the defensive algorithms accordingly. On the surface, humanity presented the image of an eager, somewhat naive civilization on the brink of true spacefaring status. Representatives from Earth's governments listened attentively as the Dominion delegates outlined the process of guided integration into their society. Of course, The lead delegate explained smoothly, "This will require some adjustments to your current governmental and economic systems. The Dominion operates on proven principles that ensure stability across thousands of worlds." President Okafor maintained a carefully neutral expression. "We understand," she replied. "Such changes would need to be discussed with all Earth's nations, of course. Perhaps we could begin with cultural and scientific exchange." As the diplomatic dance continued in New York, humanity's hidden preparations accelerated. In the Kuiper Belt, automated factories that had been operating in secret for decades increased production. The asteroid belt's seemingly random collection of mining operations concealed weapon platforms and fleet facilities that would have shocked the Dominion's military commanders. But humanity's greatest advantage lay in its ability to innovate and adapt. While the Dominion had grown complacent with its technological superiority over countless absorbed civilizations, humanity had developed along different lines. Earth's quantum technology, while less flashy than the Dominion's gravity drives, operated on principles the aliens hadn't even considered. 3 months into the cultural exchange program, Commander Valerix was growing frustrated. The humans were maddeningly cooperative while somehow managing to delay any meaningful progress toward integration. Their questions about Dominion technology seemed random and unfocused, their own technological development chaotic and inefficient. She couldn't know that every question, every seemingly pointless request for clarification, was part of humanity's carefully orchestrated intelligence-gathering operation. Earth's quantum computing networks processed the information in ways that would have seemed like magic to the Dominion, building a complete picture of their supposed benefactors' strengths and weaknesses. As the first part of humanity's encounter with the Dominion drew to a close, the pieces were in place. Earth appeared to be exactly what the Dominion expected, a young civilization ripe for absorption into their empire. But beneath the surface, humanity was ready for the moment when the Dominion's true intentions would be revealed. The game of deception was about to enter its next phase, and the Dominion had no idea they weren't the ones in control. The art of deception. 6 months into the cultural exchange program, the Centauri Dominion's patience began to wear thin. Commander Valerix paced her flagship's command deck, her crystalline exoskeleton reflecting the harsh light of her agitation displays. Another delay. She chittered to her senior staff. The humans claim they need to build consensus among their nations before accepting our generous offer of protection. She paused at a viewport, staring down at the blue-green world below. Perhaps it's time to demonstrate the consequences of refusing Dominion guidance. In the quantum-shielded depths of the Singapore Advanced Defense Center, Dr. Elena Santos watched the alien commander's frustration with satisfaction. The microscopic quantum sensors humanity had planted throughout the Dominion fleet transmitted every conversation, every plan, every subtle shift in alien body language. "They're moving to Phase 2, she reported to the Global Defense Council's secure quantum network, just as the behavioral models predicted. General Chen's holographic avatar nodded. "Initiate Operation Mirror Shield. Let's see how they react to their own playbook." Across Earth's surface, carefully orchestrated signs of division began to appear. The Chinese Federation announced its intention to accept Dominion membership independently. The European Union publicly condemned the move. The African alliance called for emergency talks. Commander Valerix's mandibles clicked in satisfaction as she reviewed the reports. "Classic pre-integration fracturing," she told her political officer. "Once the major powers begin competing for Dominion favor, absorption becomes inevitable." But in an underground facility beneath the Australian outback, President Okafor met with the real leaders of Earth's united defense. The apparent political chaos on the surface was a carefully choreographed performance, designed to mirror the Dominion's expectations back at them. "The quantum field is ready," Dr. Tanaka reported, her hologram flickering slightly as she transmitted from the Fukushima facility. "The moment they attempt to demonstrate their military superiority, we'll have access to their entire command and control network." The Dominion made its move 3 days later. A rogue destroyer broke formation, descending into the atmosphere over the South China Sea. its weapons powered up in what was meant to be an intimidating display of superior firepower. Commander Valerix watched with cruel amusement as human military forces scrambled in apparent panic. Primitive jets rose to intercept the destroyer, while naval vessels moved into defensive positions, all proceeding according to countless previous integration scenarios. Then everything went wrong. The destroyer's quantum state weapons, designed to overwhelm any primitive defensive systems, simply failed to engage. Bridge displays flickered and died. Gravity drives fluctuated wildly. Impossible. Valerix's chief engineer exclaimed, all four hands flying over control surfaces. Some kind of interference, but their technology couldn't possibly. In Cheyenne Mountain, Colonel Rodriguez allowed himself a fierce grin. Quantum entanglement loop established. Their entire command network is compromised. The Dominion destroyer hung helpless in the sky, its crew struggling to understand how their superior technology had been so completely neutralized. On the surface below, Earth's primitive military forces continued their rehearsed show of panic and confusion. But in the orbital lanes between Earth and Luna, hundreds of previously invisible platforms shifted phase, their quantum stealth fields rippling like heat waves in desert air. Each platform housed weapons that operated on principles the Dominion had never encountered, developed by a humanity that had spent decades preparing for this moment. Should we reveal our true capabilities now? General Chen asked, watching the destroyer's predicament with cold satisfaction. President Okafor shook her head. Not yet. Let them think this is a fluke, a lucky accident. The more they underestimate us, the more mistakes they'll make. The Dominion withdrew its destroyer, writing the incident off as an equipment malfunction. Commander Valerix was forced to delay her plans for a show of force, unable to explain to her superiors how a pre-FTL civilization could have interfered with their technology. But the incident had shaken the Dominion's confidence. Their careful analysis of human technology showed nothing that could have caused such a failure. Surveillance increased. More ships arrived in the solar system, taking up positions that would be advantageous in case of conflict. Humanity continued its performance. The Chinese Federation publicly apologized for considering independent membership. The European Union graciously accepted the apology. Political tensions appeared to ease, while trade negotiations with the Dominion resumed. In reality, every Dominion ship that entered the solar system provided humanity with more data. The quantum sensor swarms mapped their technologies, analyzed their weaknesses, and updated Earth's defensive networks. Human AI systems, operating on principles fundamentally different from Dominion computing, processed the information in ways the aliens couldn't detect. They're building to something bigger, Dr. Santos warned during a Secure Council session. The destroyer incident embarrassed them. They'll want to make absolutely certain their next show of force succeeds. President Okafor nodded grimly. Then we'll let them try. Every failed attempt to intimidate us weakens their position and strengthens ours. We've spent generations preparing for this moment. Let them come. As the Dominion fleet grew in Earth orbit, humanity's hidden strength grew with it. Quantum fabricators deep beneath the lunar surface worked tirelessly, producing weapons and defenses designed specifically to counter Dominion technology. Sensor networks expanded through the solar system, giving Earth perfect awareness of every alien ship's movements and capabilities. Commander Valerix, frustrated by continued human delays and her own unexplained technical failures, finally requested permission to proceed with standard integration protocols. The Dominion High Command, growing concerned about the resources being devoted to this supposedly simple operation, granted authorization. No more diplomatic games, she announced to her staff. We'll show these primitives the true meaning of Dominion power. Prepare the integration fleet for combat operations. In Cheyenne Mountain, General Chen received the quantum intercept of Valerix's order and smiled grimly. And so it begins, she murmured. Activate all Sentinel platforms. Bring the orbital defense grid to full readiness. It's time to show the Dominion why humanity has survived everything our own world could throw at us. The true test of humanity's preparations was about to begin, and Earth was ready to reveal just how dangerous a primitive species could be. Breaking point. The Dominion integration fleet dropped out of FTL in perfect formation, their crystalline hulls catching the light of Sol in a display that was meant to terrify as much as awe. 500 ships, ranging from frigates to dreadnoughts, took up attack positions around Earth's orbital lanes. Commander Valeric stood proudly on her flagship's command deck, watching as human satellites and spacecraft scrambled to respond to the sudden appearance of overwhelming force. "Send the ultimatum," she ordered, mandibles clicking in anticipation. In the depths of Cheyenne Mountain, General Chen watched the Dominion's theatrical arrival with cold amusement. "All Sentinel platforms maintaining quantum stealth," Colonel Rodriguez reported. "They still can't see our real defenses." "Incoming transmission," announced Dr. Santos, her quantum interface glowing softly. "It's exactly what we expected." The Dominion's message broadcast across all frequencies. "People of Earth, your delay in accepting Dominion protection has forced us to demonstrate the consequences of continued resistance. Surrender your world's governance to Dominion authority within one planetary rotation, or face immediate pacification." President Okafor sat in the hidden command center beneath Mount Kilimanjaro, surrounded by the holographic displays of Earth's true military leadership. "Well," she said with a grim smile, "they've finally shown their true colors. Execute Operation Thunderbolt." Across Earth's surface, the carefully maintained facade of a primitive civilization began to dissolve. Hidden bunkers opened. Quantum defense grids powered up. In orbit, thousands of stealth platforms shifted phase, becoming visible to the stunned Dominion fleet. Commander Valerix's bridge erupted in chaos as new sensor contacts appeared everywhere. "Impossible," her tactical officer exclaimed. "They've had a full defensive grid in place the entire time." But humanity's first strike didn't come from the orbital platforms. It came from below. Deep beneath the Pacific Ocean, in bases the Dominion never detected, quantum-linked particle accelerators powered up. They didn't fire conventional weapons. Instead, they fired precisely calculated gravity pulses, designed specifically to interfere with Dominion drive systems. The effect was devastating. Dozens of Dominion ships suddenly lost gravitational control, their carefully maintained formations dissolving into chaos as they tumbled through space. Others found their weapon systems completely unresponsive, locked down by quantum interference patterns that humanity had spent decades perfecting. "Status report," Valerix demanded, watching in horror as her mighty fleet fell into disarray. "Multiple systems failing across the fleet," her engineer reported, panic evident in his voice. "They're using some kind of quantum state weapon. It's like they knew exactly how to target our technology." In the Fukushima Deep Science Center, Dr. Tanaka monitored the quantum attack's effectiveness. "Direct hits on 80% of their drive systems," she reported through the secure network. "Their shields are adapting, but slower than projected. We have maybe 10 minutes before they compensate." "That's all we need," General Chen replied. "Launch the swarm." From hidden bays across Earth's surface, in the depths of the oceans, and from bases on the far side of the moon, humanity's true weapons of war emerged. Millions of autonomous drones, each smaller than a human fist, accelerated toward the Dominion fleet. They weren't armed with conventional weapons. Instead, each drone carried a quantum-entangled payload designed to interface directly with Dominion systems. Commander Valerix watched in growing horror as the swarm approached. "Open fire," she ordered. "Use all weapons." Those Dominion ships still capable of fighting launched a devastating barrage. Energy beams and plasma torpedoes filled space, destroying thousands of drones. But there were always more, and they were impossibly hard to target, protected by quantum fields that made their exact positions uncertain until the moment of impact. The first drone to reach a Dominion ship passed straight through its shields as if they didn't exist. It landed on the crystalline hull and immediately began its work, using quantum manipulation to reprogram the ship's systems at the most fundamental level. Multiple ships reporting critical system failures, Valerix's tactical officer reported, his voice shaking. They're turning our own technology against us. In the Singapore Advanced Defense Center, Dr. Santos monitored the quantum infiltration's progress. 30% of their fleet is now under our control, she reported. Another 40% is completely disabled. The remaining ships are attempting to retreat. President Okafor nodded. Let some of them escape. The Dominion needs to understand exactly what they've walked into. Commander Valerix watched helplessly as her mighty integration fleet was systematically dismantled by an enemy she had gravely underestimated. Ships under quantum control turned their weapons on their fellows. Others drifted powerless, their crews trapped inside by their own disabled systems. Full retreat, she ordered, her pride shattered. Get us out of this system. But retreat wasn't as simple as they expected. The quantum interference had spread throughout their fleet's network, corrupting navigation systems and FTL coordinates. Many ships attempting to jump to FTL found themselves emerging light hours off course, their systems compromised beyond repair. In the end, less than a quarter of the Dominion fleet managed to escape Earth's solar system. They left behind a graveyard of disabled ships and a message that humanity made sure was encoded into their very navigational computers. Earth was not to be trifled with. As the last Dominion ships disappeared into FTL, President Okafor addressed the hidden command center. Phase 1 is complete, she announced. But this is just the beginning. The Dominion won't take this humiliation lightly. They'll return with everything they have. General Chen nodded grimly. Good. By then, we'll have control of every piece of technology they left behind. Their next attack will go even worse for them. In orbit, human ships began the process of boarding and securing the disabled Dominion vessels. Each ship was a treasure trove of technological data, even if humanity's quantum technology had already surpassed much of it. More importantly, each ship's computer contained a wealth of strategic information about the Dominion itself. The true war was about to begin, and humanity had just proven they were more than ready for it. Counterstrike. 3 months after humanity's devastating defense of Earth, the captured Dominion ships had yielded their secrets. In a quantum-shielded war room beneath the Himalayas, Earth's military leadership reviewed their findings. The Dominion is vast, Dr. Santos reported, manipulating the holographic display to show the Empire's full extent. 15,000 systems, over 40 different species. But she highlighted several key points in the map. Their structure is surprisingly fragile. General Chen studied the display with predatory focus. Centralized command and control. Standardized technology. No redundancy. She smiled grimly. They never expected to face a serious threat. Their whole empire is built on intimidating weaker species. President Okafor stood at the heart of the command center, watching the quantum feeds from Earth's advanced scouts. Humanity's stealth ships had already penetrated deep into Dominion space, gathering intelligence and planting quantum sensor networks throughout their territory. The Dominion High Command has ordered a full military mobilization, she announced. They're stripping defenses from their core worlds to build an overwhelming force, one that will ensure Earth's complete subjugation. Dr. Tanaka's hologram flickered as she transmitted from the Lunar Defense Complex. They still think this is about brute force. They haven't realized that their entire command network is already compromised. The quantum infiltration that had disabled the Dominion fleet over Earth had done more than just shut down their ships. It had inserted dormant protocols throughout their network, spreading like a virus through every system that contacted the surviving vessels. Operation Ghostwalker is ready, Colonel Rodriguez reported. We can trigger a cascade failure across their entire defense grid whenever we choose. But President Okafor had a different strategy in mind. No, she said firmly. We're not going to destroy the Dominion. We're going to dismantle it, piece by piece, and free every species they've enslaved. The plan they developed was audacious. Instead of meeting the Dominion's massive retaliatory fleet in open battle, humanity would strike at the Empire's political foundations. Every subjugated species that had been forced into integration would suddenly find their oppressors' technology failing at critical moments. The first strike came at the Dominion's largest shipyard, orbiting their capital world. The facility's quantum state containment field simply shut down, causing catastrophic cascade failures throughout the construction base. Dozens of nearly completed warships were destroyed, their crystalline hulls shattering into space. Commander Valerix, demoted but still alive thanks to political connections, watched the disaster from her new posting on a frontier monitoring station. "It's the same energy signature," she reported urgently to her superiors. "The humans have somehow reached the core worlds." But that was just the beginning. Across Dominion space, carefully planted quantum devices activated. Communication networks failed. Defense systems turned on their operators. Navigation beacons sent ships off course. In the Singapore Advanced Defense Center, Dr. Santos monitored the chaos with satisfaction. "The hegemony worlds are already declaring independence," she reported. "The Dominion's client states smell weakness." Humanity's actual warships, now equipped with reversed engineered and improved versions of Dominion technology, struck with surgical precision. They appeared from quantum tunnels inside supposedly secure systems, disabled key military installations, and vanished before the Dominion could respond. The massive retaliatory fleet the Dominion had gathered found itself fighting shadows. Human ships would appear, launch devastating attacks using weapons the Dominion couldn't counter, and disappear into quantum space before they could be targeted. "This is impossible." The Dominion High Command raged in their supposedly secure bunkers. "They're violating every known law of physics." But humanity had long since moved beyond the Dominion's understanding of physics. Quantum entanglement, uncertainty manipulation, and dimensional phasing had become humanity's tools long before the aliens arrived. Tools they had perfected while presenting a primitive facade to the galaxy. The killing blow came not from Earth's ships or weapons, but from their mastery of information. Using the quantum network they had secretly established, humanity began broadcasting the truth to every world in Dominion space. Records of thousands of peaceful integrations that were actually brutal conquests, evidence of systematic suppression of technological development among client species, proof that the Dominion's ruling class had been deliberately keeping their subjects dependent and weak. President Okafor addressed the Dominion's subject worlds directly, her image appearing simultaneously on every quantum-linked device in their territory. "The age of the Dominion's lies is over. You are not alone. You are not helpless, and Earth stands ready to help you reclaim your independence." The response was beyond even humanity's most optimistic projections. Centuries of resentment exploded into open rebellion. The Dominion's military, already crippled by quantum infiltration and human strikes, found itself facing uprising on hundreds of worlds simultaneously. In orbit around Earth, General Chen watched the Empire crumble through quantum feeds. "Their own arrogance defeated them," she observed. "They spent so long looking down on primitive species that they never imagined one might surpass them." The Dominion's mighty retaliatory fleet never reached Earth. Half its ships experienced unexplained drive failures en route. The other half arrived to find their weapon systems mysteriously offline. They surrendered to Earth's quantum-shielded warships without firing a shot. As the Dominion collapsed, humanity emerged as something new in the galaxy, not conquerors, but liberators. Earth's quantum technology and defensive strategies were shared with the freed worlds, ensuring no empire could ever again rise through intimidation and force. Commander Valerix, watching her civilization fall from her distant posting, finally understood the truth. The humans hadn't just been prepared for first contact. They had been waiting for it, ready to reshape the galaxy into something better. The age of the Dominion was over. The age of humanity had begun. A new dawn. 1 year after the Dominion's collapse, representatives from over 40 formerly subjugated species gathered in Earth's first orbital diplomatic station, the Unity Sphere. The massive structure, built using a combination of human quantum technology and reimagined Dominion engineering, hung in geosynchronous orbit like an artificial star. President Okafor stood at the central podium, addressing the most diverse gathering of sentient species ever assembled. The station's quantum translation field ensured perfect understanding across all languages and communication methods. "We gather here not as conquerors or conquered," she began, her words reaching every corner of the former Dominion through quantum channels, "but as equals. Earth did not fight to replace one empire with another. We fought to ensure that no species would ever again be forced to kneel before self-proclaimed superiors." In the diplomatic galleries, Dr. Santos watched alongside representatives from worlds that until recently had been bitter enemies under Dominion rule. The hegemony's crystalline beings sat next to the silicon-based life forms they had once helped subjugate. Atmospheric barriers had been replaced with quantum fields that allowed all species to exist comfortably in the same space. "The Galactic Concordat," President Okafor continued, "will be founded on principles of mutual respect, technological cooperation, and absolute sovereignty. Every world has the right to develop according to their own path, free from external manipulation or control." Deep in the lunar defense complex, Dr. Tanaka monitored the quantum networks that now connected the former Dominion worlds. What had once been tools of control and surveillance had been transformed into channels of cooperation and warning. Any species attempting to build new weapons of conquest would find their efforts detected and prevented by their neighbors. The changes weren't just political. Humanity's quantum technology had revolutionized everything from commerce to environmental restoration. Worlds stripped bare by Dominion mining operations were being healed. Species on the brink of extinction were recovering. General Chen, now serving as Earth's representative to the newly formed Concordat Defense Council, stood with her alien counterparts in the Unity Sphere's Strategic Command Center. "The quantum defense network is fully operational," she reported. "Any aggressive action anywhere in Concordat space will trigger an immediate response." But the greatest transformation was cultural. With the Dominion's enforced hierarchies shattered, species that had been enemies for centuries discovered they had more in common than they'd imagined. Trade routes formed naturally rather than by imperial decree. Scientific cooperation led to breakthroughs that neither humans nor their new allies could have achieved alone. In a quiet corner of the Unity Sphere, Commander Valerix, now Citizen Valerix of the Free Crystalline Worlds, met with Colonel Rodriguez. The former enemies had become unlikely partners in helping former Dominion military forces transition to peaceful roles. "I still don't understand," Valerix admitted, her mandibles moving in what humans now recognized as an expression of wonder. "How did your species advance so far while appearing so primitive?" Rodriguez smiled. "Because Earth taught us the greatest lesson any species can learn. True strength comes from adaptation, not domination. We faced our own near extinctions, our own wars, our own environmental disasters. Each crisis forced us to innovate, to think differently, to become better." In the station's quantum computing core, Dr. Santos and her multi-species research team were already pushing the boundaries of what was possible. The combined knowledge of 40 species, freed from Dominion restrictions and enhanced by human quantum science, was opening doors no one had imagined existed. "We're detecting quantum signatures from beyond the galaxy," she reported excitedly to President Okafor. "There are other civilizations out there, possibly more advanced than even we are now. But this time, when we make contact, it will be as a united galaxy ready to learn rather than conquer." The Unity Sphere became a symbol of this new age. Its quantum beacons pulsed across space, carrying a message very different from the Dominion's demands for submission. "We are the Galactic Concordat," the message read in all languages. "We come seeking friendship, offering knowledge, respecting all paths of development. We have learned the true meaning of civilization, not the power to conquer, but the wisdom to cooperate." As the first year of the new era drew to a close, humanity found itself in a role few would have predicted. Not rulers, not conquerors, but teachers and guardians. Earth's experience in overcoming its own violent past made humans uniquely suited to helping other species work through centuries of dominion-induced trauma and conflict. President O'Keefe's final words to the gathered representatives echoed through the quantum networks. "The stars are not our conquest, but our classroom. Every species here has something to teach and something to learn. Together, we will build something greater than any empire, a civilization worthy of the cosmos itself." In orbit around Earth, the Unity sphere gleamed like a beacon of hope, its quantum fields humming with the combined knowledge and dreams of 40 species working together for the first time in galactic history. The age of empires was over. The age of unity had begun. And somewhere in the vast darkness between galaxies, new quantum signatures pulsed in response to the Concordat's message. Humanity and its allies would face new challenges, new discoveries, and new opportunities for growth. But this time, they would face them together, as equals under the same stars.